Hello and welcome to Produced By. Just quickly before we begin, if you enjoy the show, please consider supporting it by joining our Patreon. You can choose from a list of memberships and will receive some exciting rewards. Thank you, and back to the episode. Hello, Andreas. Thank you for joining us and welcome to the show.
Hello, Thomas. Thank you for inviting me.
So, for the beginning, can you please introduce yourself?
Yes, my name is Andreas. I'm 23 years old. I was born in Cyprus and I stayed there until I was about 12 or 13, at which point I moved with my family to Dubai and I completed my education there in Dubai. And once I finished high school, I went to the UK to study film at Middlesex University. After which I went back to Cyprus to complete my military service for 14 months. And after I completed my military service, I've been searching for different freelance projects, videography and photography projects. And I've also been applying to internships and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. That's interesting. You've been to quite a few places. If you don't mind, I'm just curious. Is that compulsory to do the military service in Cyprus?
Yeah, it's compulsory. Actually, it used to be, and I think up until a few years ago, it was 2 years. But thankfully, they've reduced it recently to 14 months.
Oh, I see.
So yeah, but it was an interesting experience. Yeah,
And is that, I hope it's not a silly question, but North or South Cyprus?
south. So the
Oh, okay,
Greek
okay.
Cypriot part of the country.
Hmm. So how did you find the military service? I know this is not a podcast, obviously, about military, but I don't meet people with such experience often. So can you briefly say how did you find it?
Yeah. So in the beginning, it was a bit hard because usually, uh, by the way, it's only compulsory for males in Cyprus, so females don't have to do it. And they usually do it right after finishing high school. But because, as I said before, I was in Dubai, I studied at university first, and then I went, and then I did it. So, and because I
Hmm.
was away from Cyprus for a few years, I had to readjust to the country as well. So the initial process was a bit hard for me, but it was very interesting because I did things that I wouldn't have done otherwise. I took part in
Hmm.
military exercises and yes, yeah, stuff along those lines.
And have you been preparing physically for that in advance?
Yes, I mean, I had the choice to choose to which branch of the army I wanted to go. I wasn't guaranteed that I was going to get it, but I had the choice to say what I preferred. And one of the options was special forces, but I didn't choose that, so I
Hmm.
didn't have to prepare as as much physically. But yeah, I tried to prepare as much as I could by running and stuff
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that.
yeah. And what is
Yeah.
the age when you need to go there?
I mean, there's no age limit, I think. I mean, there is an age limit, but
Yeah.
usually you just go there once you're done with high school. So most people
Okay.
are 18 or 17, but
Hmm.
I was a bit older. I was 21, I think, yeah, 21.
Hmm. So does it work that way that if there was some kind of um, you know, situation that would require soldiers, you would need to come back to defend and fight for the country?
Yeah, so if there was some incident, uh, I would receive a notice, and then I would have to go back to Cyprus.
Mhm. Yeah, that's interesting. That was just a little side way that I'm curious, but I know that this is not a military podcast, so let's come back to your career. How was it growing up in Cyprus? You said you've been there for 12 years, so how was it?
Yes, yes. I mean, it's a relatively calm country. It's not a big, it's a small island. So Cyprus is a small country. So yeah, so I was able as a child to play outside and just explore. But yes, I was just a child, so I didn't do anything special in Cyprus. But yeah,
Hmm.
I remember those years in a positive light.
Yeah, yes, I've never been there, so I don't really know. But is it warm there the whole year, and you can go swimming to the sea because it's island, obviously. Is there beautiful weather all the time?
Yeah. I mean, the weather is mostly nice. Uh, Even in the winter, it's not that cold. I mean, it's cold,
Hmm.
but not like northern countries. And my house was really close to the beach, so I used to spend a lot of time there.
Yeah,
And many tourists
sounds
come
beautiful.
for the beaches of Cyprus.
So, what then led you to Dubai?
So my father got a job here in Dubai, and so we just relocated with my whole family.
Mm. Um, so you were already prepared for the weather? How's the weather in Dubai? Is it warmer than Cyprus?
Yeah, it's definitely hotter than Cyprus, uh, and I wouldn't say there are seasons here in Dubai. It's just always warm.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh, so yeah, so you have to spend a lot of time inside if you want to survive in the air
yeah. I
condition.
can imagine. Hmm. So when did your interest in filmmaking or media begin? Was it when you moved, or were you already into it before you moved?
Well, my exposure to films and television started when I was really young. My father took me to the cinema for the first time when I was 4 or 5 to watch The Jungle Book. Uh,
Hmm.
and I also, as a child, I used to spend a lot of time with my grandparents, and I used to watch Gunsmoke with my grandfather every evening. For those who don't know, it's Gunsmoke is a really old cowboy series from the USA. Uh,
Okay, not
and
gonna lie,
my
I
parents
don't know
also used to buy
it.
me. Yeah, it's really old. um, yeah, and my parents also used to buy me a lot of DVDs. So I spent a lot of time watching TV shows and films. So television and cinema have always been part of my life to some extent. But
Mhm.
it was when I moved to Dubai that I first started thinking about being involved in actually making movies. But at that point, I thought that maybe I wanted to be an actor because as a child, that's your reference point. You see the actors on screen.
Mhm.
So I thought that maybe I wanted to be an actor. Um, and then at around 15 or 16, I discovered Tarantino. And
Oh.
so I think I don't remember exactly which was the first film of his I watched, but I think it was Inglorious Bastards or The
Mhm.
Hateful Eight, one of these two. And I don't know what it was about them, but for some reason I thought they were amazing. and
Mm-hmm.
I felt like his movies were giving me something that other movies didn't give me. I felt like he knew what I wanted to watch, and he was just giving it to me.
Yeah.
So at that point, when I discovered Tarantino, I started thinking that consciously that maybe I want to actually be behind the camera and make the movies.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's how my interest in film started.
And did you know already back then what kind of a role would you want to do? If director, camera person, producer, or something else?
Yeah, actually, from the beginning, from when I discovered Tarantino, I wanted to be a director because I have a lot of ideas, and so I thought that being a director would allow me to uh, bring those ideas to life. Yeah, to bring my own ideas to life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I wonder how is it in Dubai when it comes to opportunities to pursue such a career? Because I guess in London it's easier thanks to the industry here, the university, and the whole of film industry is growing here. But what is it like to Dubai or
Yeah.
even UAE in general?
I mean, there's quite a few opportunities to work in film, but I mean, not actually film. There are a lot of marketing agencies which work with big brands. So there are a lot of opportunities to work in the production department of such companies. But there are
Hmm.
also some, in recent years, there have been a lot of Hollywood and Bollywood productions that come to film in Dubai and in Abu Dhabi. Uh,
Hmm.
I think people know which productions I'm talking about, probably Fast and Furious and Mission Impossible.
Yeah.
And I think, yeah, and I think some James Bond films also shot here in Dubai and Abu Dhabi,
Hmm.
and also Dune, the recent Denis Villeneuve
Oh yeah.
film. Uh,
Hmm.
so yeah, there are actually some opportunities to work in big cinema productions, but it's mostly marketing agencies.
Always when someone or when I think about a film in Dubai or United Arab Emirates, this scene from Fast and Furious comes to my mind. It's just legendary.
Yeah,
So, do
I think it
they
was that
come to
film
film
where
there
they
because
jumped off
of?
from one. Right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. They go from one skyscraper to the other one with this super
Yeah,
expensive car. Oh my god,
yeah,
that was something. And
it
can you
was.
say, because you live there, so maybe you know better, but do they come to film there because it's Dubai, well-known city and some like a symbol of, let's say, luxury or wealth? Or are there maybe some incentives from the government as well, so that it's easier to for the productions to go there?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know the specifics, uh, but from living here, I can assume certain things. First of all, I know that when Hollywood thinks of exotic locations, they probably think of the desert and
Hmm.
other such locations. And the UAE is a really advanced Middle Eastern country. So it's really easy for such productions to come here to the UAE and find accommodation and advanced resources. And there's also a lot of local talent. So, yeah, the UAE makes it really easy for such productions to come here and film.
Hmm.
Uh, yeah, and the desert is also really accessible from the center of the city. So, I mean, it's not very close, but everything is connected here in the UAE. So it's not like a big expedition to go out there and film in the
Yeah.
desert.
Yeah, that was actually my next question, because as someone who's never been there, um, I wonder what is it like to go to the desert? Is it like I don't know, 20 minutes out of the city center and you are outside of the city and there is a huge desert, or what is it like in there?
Yeah, I mean the whole of the UAE, and but I'll mostly speak of Dubai because that's where I know the most about. Up until a few years ago, very recently, it was everything was a desert, and they advanced really quickly uh, from the. So they started advancing, I think, close from near the sea and expanding backwards deeper into the desert.
Mhm.
So the center of Dubai, when you're in the center of Dubai, you don't really know that you are in the desert. You can't see it. I mean, you can feel it because of the weather, because it's really hot, but
Yeah.
you don't feel like you're in the desert. Uh, Once you start moving from the center outwards, nearer to the outskirts of the city, you start seeing more sand. So you realize that you are starting to get closer to the desert. And from the center of Dubai to really go outside and see the actual desert, I think it's probably 45 minutes. Uh,
Hmm.
and it looks just like the movies. You can see the sand dunes and the mountains.
Hmm.
One thing which
And
surprised me is that there are mountains which look like Mars. So it's not just
oh,
sand dunes.
hmm, it sounds like a perfect filming location. And I was just gonna say
Yeah,
that you've got these giant worms in a sand, like in the dune. No spoilers for people who
yeah,
haven't seen the dune.
yeah. Close your ear.
Yeah. Um, can you give a little comparison between Dubai and Abu Dhabi? How would you compare it to someone who's never been there, to these two cities?
Yeah, I've only been to Abu Dhabi twice, so I don't have a lot of experience living in Abu Dhabi. But the main differences that I saw is that Dubai is more advanced and it's more appealing to visitors and tourists because Dubai's economy relies more on tourists and expats. But because Abu Dhabi is the capital of the UAE, they have, I think, their economy is based more on the natural resources that they have. So they didn't have the need to make Abu Dhabi as appealing for the tourists as Dubai did.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so superficially, Dubai is a more visually attractive city.
Yeah, I was gonna say before that. I guess it's, well, maybe one of the reasons why productions film there, because you've got these famous landmarks, right, such as the Burj Khalifa or Burj Al
Yeah,
Arab and others. Yeah, so it's really cool. I
yeah,
hope
yeah,
to visit
that's true.
the city one day, or even the country. So coming back to your career, how did you? What were your first steps when you decided that you want to become a filmmaker? Did you start looking for a university, or what did you do?
Yeah, so I started making from the age of, I mean, even younger. I was making skits with my brother, uh, but before the age of 12, I wasn't doing it purposefully. I was just doing it for fun. So once I
Hmm.
decided that I wanted to be that I wanted to pursue film, I started making more skits with my brother, but purposefully and a bit more advanced, doing a bit more advanced stuff. Uh, and I also decided that I wanted to actually study film at university. So I applied to film schools in the United Kingdom through UCAS. and I
Hmm.
was accepted to a few of them, and I finally decided to go to Middlesex.
Okay, and I just wonder, why didn't you study in UAE? Because of opportunities?
Actually, there's a Middlesex University here in Dubai as well, so I did have the opportunity to study here. I was accepted here as well, but I just wanted to go to the United Kingdom for the experience, and because I know
Hmm.
that London is an industry hub, so I thought there would be more opportunities there. So that's the main
Hmm.
reason.
Yeah. And one question a bit unrelated, but I wonder what languages do you speak?
Yeah, I speak Greek. That's my native language, and English, of course.
And Arabic as well or not?
I did Arabic for 1 year at school when I first moved here in Dubai, but then I had the choice of choosing other languages. So I did French for 3 years, and then I did Spanish for two.
Hmm.
Uh,
So,
so I
so
know a
is
bit of Spanish, but not anything advanced.
mhm. So you don't need really to know Arabic to be able to um, speak with others in Dubai, because English is spoken a lot there.
Yeah, yeah, you don't really need to know to speak Arabic to live uh, to communicate effectively with people because Dubai relies so much on tourism, and it's a really international and westernized city. So, and actually, I think the locals are a minority of the population here. So,
Hmm.
most people speak English, so there's not really a need for anyone to learn Arabic. But it's just good
Yeah, yeah.
to learn Arabic for to get closer to the culture if you're living here.
Hmm. Yeah, and I guess great impression if you show to someone that you speak Arabic, which is quite difficult language if
Yeah,
you haven't been speaking that since your childhood. Cool.
yeah, that's
So how
true.
was it? How was it when you moved to the UK? What are your first impressions?
I actually went to the UK as a tourist a few times before I moved there, so I wasn't too surprised about what
Mm-hmm.
I encountered there. But I really enjoyed the fact that because it's a world center, London, it's a cultural center. There are
Mm-hmm.
a lot of things to do, like theaters and cinemas, and even independent cinemas. Uh, so it was really London made a really positive impression on me initially.
Yeah, yeah. And was it the course was specifically film?
Yeah, I mean the actual name of the degree was BA Film, so it was a Bachelor of
Yeah.
Arts in Film. But I had the opportunity to specialize in a certain area of film, and I chose directing. So
Mm-hmm.
as I was moving along the course, I was taking lessons that more aligned towards directing.
So you entered the course with specializing in directing in your mind, and it stayed with you till the end of the course, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Oh, that's good. So you've been polishing those skills for those 3 years.
yeah, yeah. I actually was lucky enough that I got to direct. I think I directed every short film that I did at university except one or two.
Hmm.
So I was lucky in that regard. Uh, yeah.
Hmm. Do you want to tell us more about your final university project? It's usually the big one, so if you want to introduce it to us a bit.
Yeah. So for the final year and the final project, I was writing a story by my. I mean, I was going to be the writer and director for my final project. So I started writing it, but unfortunately, we didn't complete it because my university experience was disrupted by COVID.
Oh, yeah.
So half
I'm
of the
sorry to
second
hear.
year and the full of the third, yeah, yeah. So half of the second year and the whole of the third year was completely disrupted by COVID. I mean, we never stopped working on the film. I mean, me and my team, but in the end, we couldn't do it because I was forced to move back to Dubai, and there weren't any flights. So even if I wanted to, I couldn't travel
Yeah.
back to the UK. So for my final project, I actually did a director's treatment for what the film would have been had I shot it.
Mm-hmm. Do you want to give us a little elevator pitch? What was the project about?
Yeah. So the
Everybody
story
listen
was
up.
about if any producer is listening to this and you're interested, give me a call.
Yeah.
uh, so yeah, so the story was about a man who lost his wife. She died, and in order to get through his grief, he made an android version of his wife, and so he was living with a robot version of his wife essentially, and but in the end he realized that it's not something that will actually fill his the hole that his the death of his wife
Hmm.
left, and so in the end he decides to terminate it.
Yeah.
And it was supposed to be about 10 minutes long. And the way I was imagining it was a bit like uh, a bit of a strange vibe, like some of Yorgos Lanthimos films.
Oh,
Uh,
he's Greek, right? Yeah, I see.
yeah, yeah, he's a Greek director. Yeah,
Hmm. I know there is a now film in cinemas from him that seems to be quite well received. I haven't seen it. I don't know much about it, but I read and seems like quite successful director. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't think it's been released yet, but
Oh,
I've also read a lot of positive reviews from critics who've seen the film.
mhm.
Yeah, and it seems to be really successful.
Yeah. I assume you've seen the previous films. I think I've seen a few, but I don't remember them that well. But if you remember, can you give a recommendation to some listeners to check some of his films or one of his films?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's mostly known for one of his first films called Dogtooth, which
Mhm.
is a really weird premise. I don't know if I can even explain it, if I would do it justice. And I also enjoyed The Killing of a Sacred Deer. That's an English language film with
Maybe
I
Nicole
forgot
Kidman
what the actor.
or Colin
Yeah,
Farrell?
yeah, with Nicole Kidman and another really well-known actor, but I forget his name now.
Isn't it Colin Farrell? If it's
Yeah,
his
yeah,
name,
Colin
not sure.
Farrell.
Yeah. Mm.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I can also recommend to people to watch it. I don't remember it, but I remember it was really weird.
yeah, yeah. I mean, most of his films are really strange,
Mm.
but they are good
But
strange.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But I'm curious, since you were also the writer behind your short film, what were your reasoning behind such a story, or what led you to write this type of story?
Yeah. So uh, we've had before I started writing, uh, we had a few meetings with the rest of the crew, And since it was a group project, we started brainstorming about different ideas. And so Luisa, the sound designer, said something, and then that sparked an idea that I thought about, and then that idea led to something else, and eventually I thought of this idea and I started writing about this. So so the idea wasn't there from the beginning. I just arrived to it
Yeah.
slowly through
Hmm.
through discussions with the
Yeah.
rest of the team and brainstorm.
If you want to boost your online presence, check out our digital marketing agency called Trailblazed. You can also enroll in our Skillshare course called The 10 Tips on How to Succeed in Your Creative Career, which was inspired by the podcast. Lastly, make sure to subscribe to our weekly newsletter called Creative Spotlight to stay up to date with the show and more. Links are in the show notes. Thanks. And were you planning to somehow incorporate some sci-fi aspects? Since you said it was a robot, were you planning to show it somehow, or would it be like just a person behaving differently?
Yeah, I was actually considering to have the ending of the robot wife to be kind of violent. And I was
Oh.
planning to show the blood of the robot, which I wanted it to be blue. Uh, and I was inspired by a video game, which I didn't play, but I watched videos of it on YouTube. I think it's called Detroit Become Human. So yeah, I was inspired by a bit of sci-fi. Uh,
Mhm.
I mean, there would have been some sci-fi aspects to the story.
Yeah, yeah, that's shame that you couldn't finish it. And how was the your
Yeah,
director's paperwork? Um, was it okay? Did you manage to finish uni successfully?
yeah. I finished on time successfully. Uh, I mean, of course, I wish I could have made my final film. So I missed out on that, which is what the whole university experience leads up to. But yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, I managed to adapt successfully, and I finished on time. And
Hmm.
I also think that, if I'm not mistaken, I think during the second half of the second year, I was going to work on your film, but I think that got cancelled as well.
Yeah. Yeah, unfortunately
I
they
think,
did. It
yeah,
was
yeah,
a
yeah. So
what
yeah,
can
I
I say?
missed
It
on
was
a
a
lot of
perfect timing.
opportunities.
Mhm. But I felt the same.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
like the moment we are waiting for. Everyone has this mindset that uh, final film in their third year is like will help you to open the doors to the industry, and then you
yeah.
cannot make it. What can
Yeah.
we do?
It was disappointing because now I'm seeing
But
some students that are now in their final year and they are going to film festivals, and so I'm kind of sad
mm,
that I didn't get to do that. But I'm hoping
yeah,
to do that in the future outside of
hmm,
university.
yeah, I agree. So you moved back to UAE. How was it then? Did you move back to UK when it was once it was possible, or did you stay?
So after I went to the UAE during COVID, uh, I moved back to Cyprus to do my military service.
Oh, okay.
And after So that's when the military service happened. It was just after I finished university. And once I finished my military service, I moved back to London to search
Hmm.
for job opportunities there. And at that point, I got in touch with a location manager who worked on a lot of uh, productions in film and TV. Uh, and we were messaging back and forth. And just as it seemed that perhaps I was going to get on a project, the actors strike came, and so everything was cancelled. And
Oh my
so,
god,
unfortunately, I didn't get to. Yeah,
what a time.
but I got to. Yeah, but I got to meet a lady who was living in my building, and so I did some Instagram reels for her. So at least I got
Oh,
to get some experience in videography and editing.
so what kind of reels were they?
So she was planning to start an online company uh, to help women specifically follow their aspirations using AI, because as you
Hmm.
know, AI has been really famous in recent months.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, and so I filmed a few Instagram reels where she was introducing the company.
Yeah, that sounds like a good
Yeah, so
experience.
they were
And
basically introductory videos.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I would ask you one question coming back to the COVID. Despite what happened and how unfortunate it was, is there something that you look back and it's something positive that you take out that whole situation? Because I understand it basically ruined your plans as plans of most of the people, but was there maybe something that you look back and we are glad that it happened?
There's not anything that stands out where I say I'm glad it happened that way, but but there's a few
Hmm.
lessons I learned in that whole process. Uh, the main reason was a more creative and technical. Sorry, the first lesson was a more creative and technical one, which was because I had a lot of time to sit by myself in my room because of lockdown. Uh,
Hmm.
I was thinking a lot about my creative process, and because the way it worked at university, because things move fast, I was writing the script concurrently with trying to develop it as a director. So I realized during that time that I would, in my professional life, uh, I would much prefer to actually write a script and finish it, and then take off the writer's hat and put on the director's hat and start and work that
Yeah,
way.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, because that process caused a lot of confusion.
Mm.
Uh, yeah, but it worked out in the end. Uh,
Hmm.
anyway, but
And
another lesson I learned is that something about myself is that I'm able to adapt to unforeseen circumstances and to perform uh, successfully, even in
yeah, yeah, yeah.
during hard periods of.
Yeah, yeah. It's yeah, that's great. Because I know how bad the situation it was, but it's good always when there is
Yeah.
something good that you can take out of it, obviously. So, how did your career progress after you filmed those reels? What were you doing afterwards?
Since then, I've done a photography project where I filmed some current university students. Uh, uh, they, they they were going to have a ball for the end of their academic year, and so I took some photographs of them, and I also and oh, and the other project that I'm currently working on is that I'm designing a logo for a pharmacy in Cyprus.
Oh,
And I
nice.
also took some product photography pictures for that same pharmacy. So
Hmm.
I'm finding small projects here and there to do. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah,
So, but you are based in Dubai right now. You are working for
yeah,
someone in Cyprus. So,
yeah.
like, what market are you working in, or do you plan to work in London?
Well, my ideal market that I'd like to work in is film and high-end TV. But for the time
Hmm.
being, I'm not that picky. I'm just trying to get as much experience as I can in recording video and editing and writing. And it doesn't really matter to me in which industry it is, as long as uh, it relates to videography and photography and uh,
Yeah, yeah.
the technical aspects of filmmaking.
Hmm. So I guess there isn't really specific area that you would focus on. It's more like to get a broad experience when it comes to filmmaking and videography, as you said.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm hoping that through that experience, I'll be able to get a job in the film industry.
Hmm. And do you have a specific job in the industry in mind? Maybe, what would you want to do?
Initially, I'd like to work as a runner uh, uh, and perhaps as a camera trainee, uh, so that those are entry level roles for those who don't know. And by working those roles, I'll get experience on working on set and see how things in professional sets work. So I'm hoping to get a job as a runner or as a camera trainee.
Hmm. And will be your ultimate goal to become a director, as we discussed before?
Yeah, yeah, that's my ultimate goal.
Hmm. I mean, good luck. Sounds good. And are you planning
Thank you.
to stay in Dubai or move, or it depends on opportunities?
Yeah, it depends on opportunities. I mean, even though I'm currently located in Dubai, I'm also applying to opportunities in the UK and other countries. So it just depends
Hmm.
on what opportunities come along. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And um, I'm curious because of the strikes and what has been going on. Did you notice that
Yeah.
there may be less opportunities than before when it comes to applications because of that?
During my time in the UK, I noticed a difference. Yes, there were very few opportunities, which is the main reason I left. Uh, but in Dubai, there wasn't really a huge effect because of the strikes. So I think Dubai is a good market to
Hmm.
search for a job in.
Yeah. And are there, if I mean, if you compare it to London, obviously there are not as many opportunities in London, I guess, when it comes to film industry. But it's also because in London you've got more people that want to work there. But when it comes to Dubai and the number of opportunities, are there also plenty of people that want to work there? So it's also competitive, or what is it like in there?
Yeah, when I mostly apply on jobs through LinkedIn here in Dubai, and I always see at the top where it says how many applicants there are. There
Yeah.
are hundreds of uh, applicants, and it's the same for the UK. So I think there's a lot of demand in both countries for the jobs I'm applying for. But I think in Dubai there are a lot more opportunities. That there's always new opportunities every day. While in London,
Mhm.
uh, I don't know about others, but in my experience, it's just, for example, a few big companies have internships for certain periods of time. And
Yeah.
if you don't get selected for those, then that's it. Unless you network and you find someone and you find a job through networking.
Hmm.
But here in Dubai, there's a lot of jobs every day. So I think there's a lot more
Yep.
opportunities. So the probability increases for you to get a job.
Yeah. And I remember you said also before that there is a lot of Bollywood productions. Is that correct? In Dubai or United Arab Emirates?
Yeah. There's a lot of
So,
Bollywood productions here.
so do they come to film there for the same reasons as Hollywood productions, or what are the reasons to come there?
To be honest, I don't know much about Bollywood, but I would assume that it's for the same reasons.
Hmm.
And from what I know about Bollywood, I haven't watched any Bollywood movies, but I've seen clips online and trailers at the cinema. Uh, it appears to me that they like a lot of digital effects, and
Hmm.
Dubai has a lot of talent for VFX and digital technology. So I'm assuming that perhaps that's one of the main reasons.
Yeah. And would you be willing to work on Bollywood productions if you get the opportunity?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, if an
Hmm?
opportunity came up, I would take it. I don't discriminate
Yeah.
against
Oh, no,
both.
no, I didn't mean like I meant like maybe. No, I mean, I don't know.
No,
Yeah,
no, I
it's
meant
interesting.
I mean as a I mean, I won't discriminate Bollywood just because I don't know much about it. That's what I meant.
Yeah. Mhm. Yeah, of course. Cool. As we spoke before about Quentin Tarantino as one of your big inspirations, who's maybe your
Yeah,
favorite director now, or filmmaker, or even favorite film?
yeah. Tarantino is still one of my favorite filmmakers, and I also like Christopher Nolan. So two
Hmm.
of my favorite films are *Inglorious Bastards* by Tarantino and *Inception* by Christopher Nolan.
Mm.
So I
Hmm.
would say I
And
like a lot of films, but I would say these two are a constant.
hmm and what are the reasons behind it?
Well, I really like *Inglorious Bastards* because, firstly, I like period films. Uh,
Hmm.
so my aesthetic tastes are aligned with the film, and
Hmm.
I also like it because it has two great moments of suspense. The first scene is the opening scene of the film, uh, where a Nazi
Is that in
officer. Oh,
cinema? No,
which one do
sorry, I
you
don't
mean?
remember it at all.
Okay.
Ah.
So yeah, so the first scene. Okay, no, you are referring to another scene. So the first scene is uh, is uh, I think it's set on the French countryside, and a Nazi officer goes to interrogate a French family that's hiding Jews. And that interrogation
Yeah, I
scene is really
remember.
suspenseful. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think
Uh,
aren't they
and the
hidden
second,
under the floor or something?
yeah, that's it. Yeah. And so the audience
Okay,
doesn't
I
know that
agree.
they are hiding there, but we start to suspect that the French family hiding uh, is hiding someone. And then the big reveal is when we see them hiding under the floorboards. Sorry for the
Mhm.
spoiler for anyone who hasn't seen it.
I was gonna
Uh,
say that. Sorry for the spoilers who hasn't seen that.
at least it's not a new movie, so
Mm, yeah.
I'll probably be excused for spoiling it. Um,
And was the second
uh,
scene?
yeah, so I like. Yeah, the second scene was set in a underground tavern where two or three undercover officers working
Yeah, I
for
knew it that it will be this
the
long. Yeah.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Two or three undercover officers working for the British intelligence services. They go to meet with a double agent, with a German double agent, and during that meeting, a Nazi officer hears them and joins them at their table, and eventually he discovers that they're actually undercover British officers, and then there's a
Mm-hmm.
big fight scene that breaks out. And the moments
Yeah,
leading
yeah.
up to that are really suspenseful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. That those were perfect. And why do you like Inception? Or sorry, was it Inception or Interstellar?
Yeah. It was Inception, yeah.
Yeah, Inception. Hmm.
So I really like it for its for the way it made me feel. Uh, it's more of an abstract reason, but I really like the non-linear way of storytelling that Christopher Nolan uses in that film and many of his other films.
Hmm.
I felt like that non-linear way of telling a story uh, was used really effectively in that film, and because it's a complex idea that he was trying to present in the film, it's also intellectually stimulating. So I felt
Hmm.
like the movie was challenging me, and so it has stayed with me over the years.
Yeah, maybe makes you to watch it a few times to understand
Yeah,
everything.
yeah,
Hmm. Yeah, I believe that most of the people have seen those films, but if anyone hasn't seen it,
yeah,
definitely films from both Tarantino and Chris Nolan are worth watching. Mhm.
yeah.
Um, want to ask you about from your whether university experience or working experience, what are some pieces of advice that you would share to people, maybe someone who wants to get into the industry or is thinking maybe about studying film at university?
Yeah. The first thing I would say is uh, for people who are currently studying at university, I think it's important to meet as many people as you can, and also develop relationships with your professors, because it's through those relationships that you're most likely to get a job after you graduate, and even while you are
Hmm.
still at university. Also, the other thing is, I think it's really important to develop your portfolio while you're at university, so that you can use it as a calling card for getting jobs in the industry after you graduate. And I think it's also really important to have a CV and get someone who actually works in the industry, or even if it's not someone who works in the industry, someone who looks at CVs for a living. I think it's important to get someone like that to look over your CV and give you some pointers that you could improve.
Yeah.
I think those three are the main lessons that I learned.
Hmm. Yeah, that's great advice. I agree. And my favorite, a bit deeper question. Imagine if you
Yes.
had attention of everyone in the world, what would be your piece of advice that you would tell them? Doesn't need to be film related or career related, but something that you would find important.
I mean, one thing that I always try to do is I try to avoid wishful thinking. That to me means reflecting honestly about where I am and where I'm going based on where I currently am and what I'm currently doing. And I think it's important, I think, to avoid wishful thinking, because if you don't avoid it, then you won't be doing what's best for you. Each person can adapt that to their own situation, but I think it's important to be honest with yourself. That's what I would say.
Yeah, that's a good advice. So, is there something that I should have asked you and did not, or something that you would like to share?
Not really. There's nothing that I can think of right now. I think we've covered
So
everything for
then,
now.
feel free to promote yourself or tell people where they can follow you or connect with you.
So people can follow me on Instagram, on my photography page. It's andy.g_photography. And also you can follow me on my website, andreasgregoras.com. And you can subscribe there for free, and you'll get updated on what I'm doing if you want to support me.
NDG, it sounds like some rap name.
Yeah, that's actually an interesting story. So when I was in so when I was in high school, my physical education teacher used to call me Andy G because there were two Andreases in the classroom. And in order to distinguish between the two of us, he used to call me Andy G. So I thought I would take that and use it.
No, I like it because it reminds me of RDG, Sacha Baron Cohen. It was, I don't know if you know it, but it's amazing comedy. I can only recommend it.
I'll have a look at
Yeah,
it.
yeah, definitely. It's I don't know, like 20 years from now, but oh my god, it's so funny. You will laugh.
Okay.
But anyway, I will add the links to the show notes. And are you like open for any collaborations? Because as you said before, it sounds like you might be. So if anyone wanted to collaborate, can they reach
Of
out to you?
course. I'm open to collaborations internationally. So if you listen to this podcast and you think we can collaborate, feel free to reach out.
Whether you are from Africa, South America, or I don't know, Eastern Asia, feel free to reach out.
Even if you live in Antarctica, I'll find a way to be there.
Yeah, cool. I think we can finish it for today then. Thank you very much. It was nice to catch up, and I wish you good luck in your career and that you will reach out your ultimate goal to become a director.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me on your podcast. And I also wish you good luck with everything that you do in the future.
Thank you as well, and speak soon. Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed the show, please leave us a 5-star review on your favorite podcast app, get in touch to provide your feedback, or share any ideas for future guests. Thank you, and see you soon.